I took a look back at an anime that I wrote off for being what I felt was poorly written, too many characters, and little progression for the MC. I felt like underwhelming and it felt so hype without feeling deserved. I want to answer the question, was My Hero Academia worth rewatching? Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, I want to look at my experience of finally catching up with My Hero Academia anime. I made 2 videos on my process, but it wasn't going too well, so I felt like making just one big video when I finally caught up. My first thoughts on the series when I watched it back in 2015. God damn, I feel old. I didn't like Deku for around 2 seasons because I felt like in progression-wise, it just felt the same. But my biggest complaint was Bakugo. I just didn't understand his bloodlust for no reasonable reason, and even after watching the season 3, I had no way of justifying that rage. I just kind of dismissed it, and years later, I have this friend tell me how much the series meant to them, and then me starting to see videos of just how much this series had brought people together. I watched most of the first 3 seasons alone, but I was accompanied by one of my close friends who loves the series as well. So mainly for about 2 weeks, I did nothing but binge My Hero Academia. And I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have been able to predict the wild ride and just how much I connected throughout my entire watch. I tell you that there are times in every person's life where you have to admit that you are wrong. And this is my letter to all My Hero fans. I am your bestest bro, and I was completely wrong about My Hero Academia. So let's start off with the overall plot. I felt like in my first watch, it was slow moving and that there was not much happening. And yet, I don't really know what happened. Maybe in 2015, my brain wasn't fully developed, but I can finally understand it now. I saw so many moving parts that were happening and really all came together in the end. So far, I'm currently on the final season as it's currently airing or as I'm writing this, and I am still trying to keep up as well. Seeing how much each season escalated one after the other and the speed in which our characters had developed was insane. I guess it was easier for me to see this because it was one episode right after the other for me, but they had to adapt and grow pretty quickly. One of my biggest arguments against the series is that it felt like the cast was way too big and that they didn't have enough time to shine. Well, early on, I believe that was the case, but many times over, side characters had really stolen the show and just the episode entirely away. One great example that stays with me is my boy Red Riot. The idea of him being scared to take actions and understanding that being brave doesn't mean that you aren't scared, but knowing something has to be done regardless of how you feel. Like my boy had multiple times where he has proven himself against a villain that pumped himself up with a drug, or allowed Fat Gum to have an opening for a final attack, or springing into action to save his classmate, but to achieve the goal of the entire group. To allow side characters to shine so brightly, to have their moment, to remind you that they are heroes as well in this series, that they are trying their best, and to never count anyone out, even if they're a side character. I cannot not talk about Tokyo Yami, who has an insane quirk that he can't control at night very well, but he does his best to control it. He can see that there's a lot of disadvantages of being ranged, that close quarters isn't his strong suit. So he allows Dark Shadow to coat him to make up for that weakness. Also, he does still do a lot of training in dark areas to better control Dark Shadow, but if we're going to talk about adapting, how can we not talk about his adapting to flight capabilities? Like, it allows him to fly, but also cover Dark Shadow from the sun at the same time. So good. Other characters worked on stuff like extending their abilities, the effectiveness or the output of their quirk. The training arc sometimes felt long and then short at other times, but seeing these kids adapt and improve and mostly learn from their past battles was really fun to see. They are also in positions where sometimes they feel useless or weak and find a way to make up for that and move along. They also have all these goals, so they're always competing with each other, and that kind of segues into my next topic about why I really fell in love with the story. The character interactions. Like God, seeing how cute everyone is trying to get everyone to get stronger. No one is hiding any information except maybe a laser rat. Then they all try to help each other in their own way, learn from each other. But we've got to talk about the school festival episode. Like, dude, early on, I was insanely bored with the side plot with Gentle Criminal. But every time I got to see Class A work on their show, it was just so cute. Like, you are able to get Bakugo of all all people to participate. I don't know how this can fail. And you have everyone just encouraging each other every step of the way to make this the best show that they can possibly be. I want to quickly go through each season and give my opinion on the strongest, weakest, and my favorite part of each of them. So with the first season, I think the strongest point has to be the emotional connection between All Might and Deku. Like seeing how much Deku tried to be exactly what All Might is, but also help remind him on what it means to be a hero. The weakest part for me has to be the surrounding cast, at least at first. I feel like it was way too big for them to actually get really fleshed out. Not saying all of them, just saying that there's a good amount of characters that didn't get enough spotlight. Like they had a quick moment here or there and then we just moved along. Not saying all characters didn't have any screen time, but compared to all of them in the whole, it just felt like they were quickly introduced and that was it. One of my favorite parts of this season is actually when Deku tried to save Bakugo from the slime villain. I think it puts in perspective about what the whole show is going to be about, and the meaning of a hero will be defined by those who take action. Heroes are those who act for others. It is a good hype moment for both Deku and All Might, and I think it speaks volumes on those who don't have power but try to make a change anyways, and those who have power but feel powerless. It is an interesting dynamic that is touched on every season. For season 2, I think the strongest part has to be the tournament. It was laid out in such a nice way that the huge cast was able to have little moments to shine. I really think it helped me understand more of the side characters a little bit more. Not all the trials were fighting and allowed weaker quirks to shine a little bit more, and also allowed different ways for them to be used. The weakest part for me were some of the one-on-one fights in the tournament. For example, we have Momo like instantly losing before even putting up a real fight. I just felt like some of the fights were drastically outshining others, and others just felt so unfair to those characters. I know that in a later time we get to see a little bit more, but I think on the big stage, man, the fights have to last at least more than a few seconds. I just feel like I was cheated out on something cool at times. My lovely editor Hollow wanted me to add an honorable mention, and I 100% agree with him on this one. Bakugo is the GOAT during his fight with Uraraka. I love how he doesn't go easy on her. The idea that he wouldn't take her seriously would be an insult to her and everything that he believes in. Everyone is putting their all into this tournament, and don't underestimate them, and give them the respect that they have earned up to this point. And also, she was doing some work during that fight without any help from Deku. Love how Bakugo says what part of her is weak. Bakugo is just so well written, man. My favorite part of this season has to be Deku versus Todoroki. And obviously it's because it was beautifully animated, but I really like looking at how Deku isn't really caring about the fight, but looking to help Todoroki. Seeing that everyone here in the tournament is giving it their all, and yet Todoroki has two powerful quirks, and yet refusing to use one just frustrates someone like Deku, someone who always wanted a quirk of his own, trying his best to help Todoroki become the hero that he wants to be. Just a great way of showing the growth of Deku in his fight, but also showing that his ideals have stayed the same after getting One for All. For season 3, I think the strongest point is seeing everyone truly come into their own, like learning how to improve their quirks and actually utilizing the support class's gadget, which I thought was a complete throwaway at first because it wasn't mentioned for a little bit, which I think makes them look cooler and also allowed them to be more diverse with their usage of the quirk, and this also just made their quirk even more effective at times. The weakest part for me has to be the rescue test part of the exam. I just felt like it was really slow, and when the time came to be a hero, I was honestly in disbelief that Todoroki wouldn't have done what was needed to help out his friends. I mean, they've been through so much danger together, and it's hard for me to believe that he wouldn't just help and work well with everyone to get the job done here. He ends up failing but gets a chance to pass later on, but throughout this whole thing, I was getting really frustrated when it kind of just all unfolded on me. My favorite part of season 3 has to be Deku versus Bakugo part 2. Like, my god, was it so good to see. Kind of felt like they were letting out their frustration, but getting closer to each other. The weight of not knowing why All Might gave One for All to Deku, and why Deku is getting so much stronger and stronger as time passes by. Seeing Bakugo continue to get stronger and utilize what he's learned for his shortcomings is just so perfect. And I love that he won too, as we get to see how much Deku has improved and trained, because he is the main character and we are following his journey. Yet Bakugo doesn't want to lose again, and seeing that he put Deku down and Deku is trying his hardest during this fight, it's just an amazing fight that puts everything that they've learned together, and see how much they improved past this point. In season 4, the strongest part, hands down, is Overhaul. I cannot express enough to each and every one of you how much I love Kenjiro. I have loved his voice since I was a wee little weeb, but his Overhaul is just so good.
というわけで少しは働け出向
Overhaul is such a unique and interesting character, and I love his ability. It feels so broken and creative at the same time. Yet, I have found myself loving Overhaul because he felt like he had this grand plan of control, and I found it really interesting to see that he wanted to have this controlled chaos. Being able to eliminate quirk is such an insane concept in this world, and I gotta say, that fucking artwork of him with all the bullets raining down on him is just insane, and I love it so much. It's like angelically beautiful, you know? The weakest part for me has to be, and I feel bad for saying this now, but Gentle Criminal. I understand that he redeems himself later on, but at this point in the show, I felt like it just dragged on, and it really didn't feel like it served a purpose. What I disliked too was I felt like I needed to watch it because it was a big point for Deku, adding more a fighting style to his arsenal at this part, and I felt like it should have been a lot shorter, but it just dragged on so much I couldn't stand it. My favorite part of this season, hands down, no competition whatsoever, has to be the school performance. Something just reminded me that, hey, these are kids and they deserve to celebrate and just be kids. Just seeing how much fun they were having. But if I could pinpoint the exact part where this became my favorite part in the entire season, is seeing Eri smile. Like, my heart just melted when I saw her smile. Just after all the pain and death that the season had given us, it was just nice to see. The performance with everyone just felt so wonderful, and seeing how everyone playing to their strength to really amplify this beautiful and wholesome moment. The strongest point for season 5 is Hawks. Introducing a new character in a very populated series, in my opinion, and making me fall in love with them instantly is just so good. I love just seeing how much he did to help everybody, seeing how he pushes Endeavor to be the hero that he's supposed to be, also being a double agent for the heroes. I thought his design alone was just, oh, he can fly, but his feathers are absolutely broken. Like, I know he eventually runs out of them, but my god, do they have so much use? Like, he sends out how many, and they think of the most versatile ways of using the quirk in a series as a whole. Like, I believe he truly has unlocked the fullest potential of his quirk. I'm gonna be a little nitpicky here, but the weakest point had to be the episode of the hijack where they needed like 5 heroes to stop it. It just kind of felt out of place and maybe should have been placed a little bit sooner or elsewhere. And I do feel like it kind of changes the insanely serious tone that we had up to this point. But I do have to say, the little beach moment was really cute because it does reflect on the idea of I put before that kids should be kids. I think my favorite part of this season has to be Bakugo's team having a flawless victory. We just got to see how much growth Bakugo had undergone, and now we get to see him in the leadership role. I think it was such a good way to show that even with his personality, he can still get the job done as a leader. And not to mention, he finished so quickly without losing anyone. He did force everyone to work around him, but he also trusted them to follow up with him. In his own way, he was able to open up, still be true to himself again. And again, I fucking love characters that are true to themselves through and through. The strongest point has to be Shigaraki's new upgrades. Just seeing how insanely dangerous he had become in such a short amount of time, and on top of that, just seeing the abilities he has while being quirkless. Like, dude, it wasn't even funny at this point how strong he was. Seeing how much damage he was able to do just made me think, like, how the hell are they gonna stop him? I enjoyed seeing what an absolute powerhouse he had become when the heroes just needed to do everything in their power just to stop the first encounter with him. The weakest part, in which I'm kind of nitpicking a little bit again, is the civilian turning on Deku. Like, I understand that they're scared and they want to be in a safe place and out of harm's way, but like, dude, he's a child and he's trying his best, and you are surrounded by the strongest heroes. You don't even think that maybe this might be the best spot for you? Like, brother, the door is that way. And like, man, come on. It just felt so stupid, especially again, he's a child. My favorite moment has to be Deku versus Class A. Something about being reminded that you aren't alone always hits close to home. I always try to take things on my own and try to bear the weight of the world because it's easier than seeing the ones you love get hurt. With Deku, he tried to protect everyone because his presence alone will cause the villain to come in at any moment. Yet the whole class does their best to prove that they can hold their own and trust some of the burden with us. Aren't we your peers? Aren't we your rivals? Do you think so little of us? How weak and helpless do you think we are? It just allowed Deku to lean on those who want to be there for him, and it's just truly a beautiful moment. The strongest part comes out of the gate fucking swinging. If you don't know me, hey, I'm your bestest bro. And now that we're acquainted, I gotta tell you, nothing steals my heart like a strong woman. I love strong and well-written female characters. When Stars and Stripes entered, I was taken back. An insane quirk, but an even more insane mental. Seeing how she was inspired by All Might to be the hero that she is incredible. I was just so sad to see her leave, but even in defeat, she left her mark. 1. Not allowing her quirk to be stolen by Shigaraki, and 2. Taking out so many quirks in his arsenal. I have never seen a character show up for such little screen time and have such a big impact on the story, the villain, and my heart in one fell swoop. Holy shit, man, I love women. The weakest point for me has to be Spinner. I thought he would be more interesting seeing a villain take up the role or quote-unquote role of Stain, but my god, I just felt like such a waste of a character. He felt like he was really just there and really didn't do much in the season, and kind of just became worse as time went on, becoming a brain-dead muscle head, and then just really was a waste of a character slot in my opinion. My favorite part has to be All Might versus All For One round 2, baby. My god, it felt so much joy when I saw All Might put on that suit and use powers that were inspired by Class A. Seeing how much he had taught them and how much they have taught him was just so fun to see. Seeing this weak old man can still run hands against All For One was insane, and he was actually doing some pretty good damage to him, and figured out that the more damage he took, the younger he gets. We don't get to see a conclusion to the fight, but man, was it great to see All Might, technically quirkless again, show what it means to be a hero, to have the guts to fight and keep a smile while doing so. To conclude my thoughts on My Hero, yes, it was 100% worth the catch up, and I was horribly wrong. I want to apologize to my dear friend who had talked so much shit about My Hero 2. I'm sorry, Christella. I was so fucking wrong, and you were so fucking right. My Hero is peak. Now, I guess at this point, I finally know what it means to go Thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I truly appreciate your time. I'm excited for the final season of My Hero, and I think that this video, if it does well, I might make another on the final season. It just seems that only my JJK videos do well on my channel. Thank you again. I have been your bestest bro, and I'll see you when I see ya.